Hey there, and my name is Dan, for those of you that don't remember, those of you that don't recall. I know I've been away for a year, but this video is very much needed, and more so an apology to everybody that more than anything kind of looked up to me and whatnot. So I'm just gonna get right into it because I don't want to bore you. I don't know how long this video is gonna be, but I think I know the reason why I'm making this subconsciously is because I want to, more than anything, kind of let people in on stuff they didn't see, and more than anything is to just let other individuals on the same journey know that they probably aren't alone. So let's go back to a year when the last video I made on this particular channel. You'll notice that I was like super skinny, and just looked malnourished. I mean, just to give it to you straight, not even sugarcoating it, I had to go to rehab. I was heavily addicted. I'm not gonna mention my DOC, my drug of choice, but it was a journey. And the reason why I state this is because you need to understand everything behind it. And I finally feel comfortable enough to talk about it because of how well I've been progressing through sobriety. I guess that's the best way to put it. So a lot of people started to kind of notice that I wasn't posting anymore. I wasn't on, Instagram. I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't on YouTube. I kind of just like fell off the face of the earth, right? And let me tell you something, this past year and a half, almost 2 years, was probably the most eye-opening, the hardest, and if anything, the most heartbreaking time for me, not because of what I put myself through, but because of what I put everybody else through. And so I actually want to talk about that. So you'll notice that I don't own my cars anymore. The original, watch collection that I had, the AP, the Rolex, the Richard, I liquidated all my cars, and I made a series of bad decisions and bad choices that led to my main company. Everybody pretty much just quitting because I wasn't present, and obviously bills kept coming in. Bills didn't stop. There were still employee expenses, and I wasn't advertising. I wasn't doing anything, so the company went belly up. And that is 100% my fault. That is 1,000,000,000% my fault, and I apologize to all the employees that were working for this incredible company, and I take full responsibility because at the end of the day, I didn't just affect people that were depending on me to support them, but it was a lot more of their families and whatnot. And I know a lot of these individuals are not USA based; they don't have a lot of privilege, and I think that's really what gets to me still to this day, is that their source of dependency failed them. And so I do take responsibility for that, and I do apologize. Also, during the era of when I released Shop DFY, this was like the peak of it. And when I say the peak of it, I mean the peak of the actual addiction, where I would just be all day sleeping, and then at night just up doing what I did. Some weeks I'd stay up for like 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row. And the long-term health implications, now that I look at it, it's pretty horrendous. I probably cut my lifespan by a third or even half at this point. And so, those individuals that were in Shop DFY, that was my biggest mistake, not because I couldn't operate it, because I was incapable of operating it because of my addiction. And then I went to rehab during it as well. And I entrusted the company into somebody, I won't mention his name, but great friend, great person. But I put somebody who wasn't trained in operating anything to operate an entire operation at that scale. And so that's when, I actually stopped allowing new individuals coming into the agency. And I just couldn't single-handedly manage it, nor could I single-handedly create the operations and systems needed in place to properly make it all run profitably at that point. So that completely collapsed. And And we reached out to all the clients. And when I say we, one of my best friends, actually my best friend, he didn't have, much money or anything at the time. And so what he decided to do was he decided to take what he had, gather other funds as well, and basically acquire all the assets that I built, which also included acquiring the debt. So, and the reason why he did this is because the assets that I've built previously, email lists, sites, whatever it was, those could still be salvageable. So it was a distressed asset. So that also meant taking over the debt. So, aside from taking over the debt, he went out there with the funds that he raised and allocated to acquire it, the company that I pretty much was tanking. He went out and reached out to, if I recall, every single client, and kind of basically said, hey, this is the settlement agreement. Here's money, etc. We apologize, yada yada. And I was so embarrassed. I didn't even get on any of these settlement calls. It's just such an embarrassing moment to just admit failure to people that trusted you enough, and that hurts. But at the end of the day, I have to face reality, kind of say it like it is. I failed because of my actions, and it hurt a lot of people. I lost a lot of friends. Friends that I thought would be there to help me at my lowest weren't there. There was only one friend, and he's literally my best friend. He was the only one that truly went out there and took the action to help. So he contacted my parents, and then my dad sat me down. He was like, listen, I know what's going on now. Anthony told me everything. And I was just like, well, cat's out of the bag. And again, he didn't have to come in, and I know my dad, even though till this day I don't think he'll say it, but my dad definitely helped with the funding of kind of acquiring my assets from Anthony's side. And I'm forever grateful for that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And after rehab, I came out, and immediately, it didn't even take an hour of being home, I immediately relapsed. And we're not talking about alcohol either. Even though alcohol is a pretty big addiction, it was harder drugs. And yeah, I immediately relapsed. I wasted no time. I AMA'd my way out against medical advice. So meaning I didn't finish rehab. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm done. And that clearly stated that I wasn't ready. But after that, it went on a few months, and as a matter of fact, the drug abuse got worse, believe it or not. I went to rehab, and I thought, hey, I can do this on my own. I came out, and it amplified. It was just so much. It was so much more catastrophic than I thought than I thought it was at the time. And like looking back at it now, the aggressive progression was just immense. I don't know how I let myself get to that point. And so it came to a final like cross in the road, if you will, where I realized that every single time I was using, which was every day, I felt like garbage. Like I felt like I was legitimately dying. There was literally some nights where I would be in bed with my heart just going at 1,000,000 miles an hour, where I'm like, well, like this is pretty much it. And there was many nights like that, and it also was due to paranoia, anxiety, because of the use. And so there was something in my head that just flipped a switch. And reflecting on it now, I definitely realize what it is the fact that I built something so great and let it crumble in front of my face. But most importantly was that, and subconsciously, it came to a point where I said, it's time to man up. Like, you have nothing else to lose. There's nothing else to lose. My rent is being paid by my parents and best friend. And I know my best friend didn't have the capital at the time, and my parents, they're not wealthy amongst their wildest beliefs. So my burden was on everybody else because of my decisions that I was making. And that was the pivotal point for me, was I knew getting off, stop using isn't an easy task. And there were times throughout, the past like month and a half where I did use, but it wasn't like there were only 2 times in the past month and a half, right? And each time I only did a little bit, but I dumped it. I was like, no, because when I used, I felt like garbage. And every single time that I used in the last, 2 times in the past month and a half, it was just the feeling of, I don't want this. And so that's what allowed me to, in my brain, reprogram myself to just associate that feeling of constantly being in bed and not in commission, which is the direct result of which the direct result to that is no progress and not moving the needle. I'm always about moving the needle and progressing. So there was this long stagnant period where I just stopped business in general. I don't sell courses anymore, and I'll get to what I'm doing now and how I think how I've just been way more content. But at the end of the day, the one thing that I want to say is I know a lot of other entrepreneurs or people that are starting businesses. Listen, drug use is gonna happen. Whatever, I'm not saying, like using super hardcore drugs. I'm just saying that you're gonna be in environments where they're gonna be present. And I'm not talking about, I'm not talking about weed. I'm not talking really about alcohol either. You can get a lot harder without getting vicious. Like, you don't need to go to the heroin level, but you can form addictions with, other substances. You're going to be put in this crossroad to say yes or no and decide from there, because it only takes one time. And that's the most true thing I could tell you. It takes one time. But you're going to be put in this crossroad. Everybody does get put in this crossroad where you decide where you want to go. You either say yes or no. If you say yes, then you have to understand that there's massive repercussions for it if you get hooked. And if you don't get hooked, it's like a shark tasting blood. It's there. And if it provides, a good experience and dopamine release, then yes, you're going to naturally associate that particular experience, that usage of whatever it is, to a good experience, which is naturally going to cause your brain to gravitate towards that. Because as human beings, we gravitate towards pleasure and try to move away from pain as much as we can. So you have to make that conscious decision to say yes or no. And this video is mainly to just kind of tell everybody that conscious decision needs to be top of mind no matter what environment you're in. And don't think that I thought I was way stronger than previously, when I was like, oh, an addict, you just stop, like whatever. I was very naive. I was very arrogant to think that way. And then I went to rehab. I really saw a lot of people. But now let's talk about after the fall, after I lost everything. I'm not even going to disclose the amount of money I spent on drugs. It would just be, oh goodness. Oh man. It still haunts me till this day. And so the one thing that I will say is that I found something that I like to do. I stopped selling courses, and I found stuff that I like to do, and like a true passion that doesn't necessarily need me to be selling and shilling courses and all of that. It's just something that I veered away from that even before the entire usage, but I ended up gravitating towards, and it just so happens that the entire marketplace and so many people gravitated towards this was like crypto and NFTs. But here's the thing, is I did it in silence. For months I was just doing it on my own, learning everything I can about blockchain technology. I even am teaching myself currently Solidity on how to program for right now on Ethereum. But when it comes down to it, I actually enjoy doing this. And the other thing is that I started a channel called Hidden Gem Network, and I didn't put it under this channel, under the main channel that I have, this one that you're watching this on, because I didn't feel comfortable releasing those videos here. So I started a brand new channel, and it has taken off. Now, if you find it great, if you don't, I'm not going to shill it here. But I just talked about projects that I really liked, and I just shared myself kind of being being a DeFi degenerate at that point. So I thoroughly enjoy spending 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours a day just researching, whether that's looking at different projects or diving into roadmaps or white papers, looking at NFT projects, seeing what they're trying to accomplish. Anything in DeFi and NFTs, I'm all ears. So when it comes down to pivoting completely, I found it really interesting that I was able to become way more successful doing something that I really like without having to necessarily be in the public eye. So a lot of people didn't know for months what I was doing. I just completely went off the grid, and I really enjoyed that. I really liked it. And then out of nowhere, one day I wanted to game the TikTok algorithm, and I started multiple different TikTok accounts, and all of them went viral, millions of views within a week, 2 weeks. And all 5 accounts, it was like Crypto Crime Stopper, Crypto Dandy. There was a bunch of different TikTok accounts that I made, and I wanted to game the algorithm. I just wanted to learn the algorithm. And then I realized that I really enjoyed making that content. These 60-second videos. It was fun. And then that's kind of when I decided to take the YouTube channel more serious. And now I'm here. Now I'm in one of the best positions I've ever been in. I feel great. I've switched my diet starting yesterday to literally just greens. So I'm going completely green, vegetable based for the next few months, just to replenish my body and see how it goes. But again, I'm not going to shield anything in this video. If you find my other channel, great. If you don't, then don't go looking for it. But at this point, I've privated all the videos on this channel after uploading this. And the thing is that I will be creating more content on this channel, but it's going to be content that I like to do. This channel will probably pivot to me talking about NFTs and stuff that I'm investing in, and just showing you case studies, not telling you, hey, buy this. No, I'm going to show you what I'm doing, and just leave it at that. Just have fun with it. At this point, I just want people to see the journey. And most importantly, I want people to learn from it, learn from my mistakes, is that you can build something great and you can lose it just as fast. As a matter of fact, you can lose it faster than it took to build. A reputation takes a lifetime to build, and it takes a second to destroy. And the other thing that I'm doing is I am pushing the boundaries to learn as fast as I humanly possibly can. Because I lost a lot of time not pushing forward and growing during these last year and a half, 2 years. So I need to make up for lost time and grounds to be covered and relationships to be rebuilt. So this video is just an apology to everybody that looked up to me and thought, that I was this almighty person. I'm not. I'm a human being, and I failed. But ironically, I'm in the best position, not just financially, but spiritually and just content. And that's pretty much it. But I'll end off here is don't be afraid to be honest with yourself. Okay? That's it. Just it took a lot of courage I've been contemplating making this for so long, because at the end of the day, I don't have to worry about shilling myself anymore. So I don't necessarily need to watch, kind of what I'm saying or how I portray. At this point, I just want it to be a journey that people embark with me. And that's pretty much it. So God bless, and hopefully see you guys soon. Have a great one.